Many wonderful Rotarians. I have a minute here, so I would like to, if I may, invite those Rotarians who serve on that committee that are here, please stand up. And also those who are tutors. We have a few tutors who are non-Rotarians. We appreciate your support. If you please stand up and please be recognized for the great service you're providing to these students. You can see there's too many to name individually, but this is a terrific committee, and later on we'll learn some of the things that are done in the Franklin School by virtue of the support of these Rotarians and the club. It's my privilege to introduce the 5 speakers we'll hear from today. 3 of them are students at Franklin Elementary. We will first hear from Alicia Carlson, a 6th grader, followed by Eric Garcia, also in the 6th grade, and finally Liliana Torres will speak to us. Following the 3 students, we will have the opportunity and the honor of hearing from Avery Reynolds. Avery Reynolds is new to Franklin School this year. She is this is her first year teaching, but she also not only came to a new school and a new state even. She hails from Maryland, but she did get her undergraduate degree in training at the University of Utah. So go Utes, we're glad to have you here. But Avery is a 6th grade teacher. She is also the liaison with the Rotary Club. She has worked tirelessly to spearhead the numerous efforts that our club has had with the school, and also administer the tutoring program with the support of Mike Young, who's headed that effort up for us. We're grateful for Avery, and we'll hear from her. Avery has her Honors Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, as I mentioned, from the University of Utah. And while in her undergrad, she wrote a thesis based on the best practices for teaching mathematics in a middle school setting. I know when I get stuck trying to tutor my student Chris on math, I'll ask Avery, and she always knows the answer, so that's great. Following Avery, we will have the opportunity to hear from the principal at Franklin Elementary School, Randy Miller. Randy Miller was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and he's lived in Salt Lake City for 31 years, so he's an adopted son of our fair state here. He's been an educator for 24 years. We're grateful for his service in the education community. Most of that time in the Salt Lake School District, maybe all that time in the Salt Lake School District. He was a teacher at Lincoln Elementary School, and then he was promoted to assistant principal at Parkview Elementary. Following that, he served both as principal at both Ensign Elementary and Riley Elementary before, I think 2 years ago, coming to Franklin Elementary. We've had a wonderful working relationship with Mr. Miller. We're grateful for him and his service to the school and the support of our club. So at this point, we'll ask Alicia to make your way up here, and we'll hear from her. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Carlson, and I'm in 6th grade at Franklin Elementary. My tutor's name is Phil, and I enjoy working with him because he helps me understand my homework more. And when I don't know a word, he helps me say it the right way. I remember when I was laughing so hard one day that me and my tutor both thought it'd be a good idea if I stood on a chair. So for the rest of the time, I stood on a chair reading, and me and Phil both thought it was funny and a good idea. When it comes to math, I really enjoy doing math with Phil, because he has this magic trick that he does with me. And he taught me how to do it the right way. I like doing math with Phil because he makes me laugh and we have fun. When I look back at being with Phil and then tutoring, I will most remember doing math and the magic trick with him and how he helped me get a higher score on my math test. Thank you.
Hello, Rotary Club. My name is Eric. It's been a great year spending it with my tutor. My tutor's name is Peter. The days I spent with him, he's helped me with math and reading. Unfortunately, Peter wasn't able to be here today, but he was kind enough to bring me a book on the last day of tutoring. Now let's talk about him helping me. Once I had trouble with the problem and he told me the steps to the problem. He also helped me with my times tables. Every time we met, he would have a page of times tables ready for me. He wouldn't let me make a mistake on them. Thank you for everything you have done, Peter.
Hello, my name is Lilian and I'm in 6th grade at Franklin Elementary. My tutor's name is Mark Maxwell, and he helps me with my homework. He teaches me new things I never knew. He tells me things about politicians because when I'm older I want to be a politician. Mark shows me easier ways to do my homework. He shows me things I will learn in middle school, and it helped me in middle school because I'll recognize it. It will be easier on me. When I read to Mark and I see a hard word, he tells me what the word means. When someone says something, he tells me to say it the way the punctuation is. And if I don't say it the way the question is, I have to reread it till I get it. When I know how to do the question, he says I can get it. Mark helped me be a better reader and better in math. I thank him a lot for taking time out of his day and helping me be a better reader and better in math. I'm glad he is my tutor. He helped me a lot.
Alright, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Avery Reynolds. I am the 6th grade teacher at Franklin Elementary School. And as Steve so kindly said, I have been coordinating all the work that Rotary is doing for us, and we really appreciate all of it. We have 22 students who are in the tutoring program. We're paired up with 21 different tutors. The tutors come once a week and they sit with our students for about a half an hour, working on their homework, helping them with reading, whatever it is that the student needs for that week. We had these students sign up back in August, and the tutors have done such an excellent job of showing up every week for our students, and both them and myself really appreciate the consistent attendance. So it's great to see the tutors work with the students. They work so patiently and are so kind to all of our students. They do a good job of helping them with their homework. They try to help them with the answers, but don't quite give it away. You know, problem solving is a good skill that all of these students need and are working towards. Yep, one right there. So as Alicia mentioned in her speech, the tutors do a great job of showing tricks to the kids. It's a different way that you and I may have learned the problems, but it's not taught the same way. And I've seen a lot of the different students use these different, magic tricks to help solve the math, and that has been so great. I can only say math 12 different ways before they just don't understand me and need a different person to tell them. The tutors have also done an excellent job working on their reading. They have done things like have students stand on the chair. They've read with the students. They've taken their turns reading their parts. And we've seen a good increase in a bunch of the students' scores just because they've been reading out loud more. We have multiple tutors who brought in books for their students towards the end of the year, and that was so great. I see all the students in my class carrying around their books, reading their books, talking about, oh, how my tutor gave me this book, and I'm so excited to read it. And just to see the excitement on their face has been so great. While books and all of these things are so great for the kids to get, what I've really seen the students get is just the connection with all of the tutors. The tutors have done an excellent job in terms of talking about what they see themselves doing in 15 years and how their lives are now, and really looking at, what these kids are looking for in their lives and really analyzing what they would like to see out of themselves. For example, their careers, if they want to be a politician or in the army or an engineer. These amazing tutors have done an excellent job of giving them more information on what they think their future wants to be. They also, I know a lot of you guys have the wonderful opportunity to travel internationally, and I've seen so many different tutors share pictures and videos and stories of all their travels of these places that even myself hasn't even heard of sometimes. And it's so great to hear these kids go around and say, well, my tutor told me about this place, and all the stories, and just how excited they are to look at the world as a whole picture instead of just Salt Lake City, Utah. So I really would like to thank all of the tutors for myself, Mr. Miller, and all of the students for all your excellent work this year. We really thank you, and hope to see you again next year. So, yay!
Thank you, Avery, and thank you, students, for the nice words that you spoke on behalf of our school and the tutors who come and spend so much time with us each year. On behalf of myself and Ms. Reynolds and all the students who are represented today, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club as a whole for inviting us here today. This is a great treat for all of us to be here with you and have a nice lunch. I know Vanessa was asked how it compared to school lunch, and she said much better. I think all the students would concur. I see some head nodding out there. Thanks, Jordy, for that affirmation. I'd also like to thank Ms. Reynolds. As she was introduced as a first-year teacher. That's absolutely correct. And she came in, and not only did she come into a new environment, much different from where she student taught, but taking on 6th grade, which is always a challenge. We also saddled her with organizing the tutors for the year, because last July, Sonia Wardula, who many of you know, decided it worked out for her and her family to be a stay-at-home mom. And for those of you who know her, I just learned last week that she's pregnant with her 2nd child. So congratulations to her and the decision she was able to make. But thank you very much, Avery, for coming in and stepping in and doing such a great job in organizing the tutors this year and organizing everything that goes on with the tutors. I'd also like to thank Alicia, Liliana, and Eric for the great job they do representing our student body. We have almost 500 students at our school. We have close to 70 6th graders this year, and they're just a nice representation of our entire school and what we hold as a high standard for our students. And they did a good job of expressing their appreciation to their individual tutors, but also in general of expressing themselves and representing our school. So I appreciate them for that. I hear many times throughout the year from parents about how great the tutoring program is. So word of what the Rotarians and the other volunteers that come in through the Rotary are doing at our school does make it home, and it does have an impact, because these kids are talking about it at home, they're talking about their tutors, and their families are coming back and sharing that with me. And I think that's very important. One of the things I'd like to do, the students have focused on their individual tutors, and Avery talked about the tutoring program in general. I would just like to take some time and share with you and update you on what the Rotary Club does in general for all of us at Franklin, mostly through the School and Education Committee that Steve chairs, but and it involves many of you. And I think this is kind of an annual update, and this is my 2nd year at Franklin, so it's my 2nd year speaking to you, and we'd still look at it as a recruiting trip for me to come and recruit more volunteers, because as I said, we have close to 76 graders. We would like to expand this still and create that longer term relationship, both in 5th and 6th grade at our school, but even extending on into Bryant, into the middle school. I know people that are on the School and Education Committee are working with the staff at Bryant to try to plan that for next year and into the future and see how that works. So as the tutors show up at Franklin, they are greeted by Franklin's self-proclaimed smile. That is Miss Christina. And I am frequently in or near the office when the Rotarians come in, and I hear, hi Jim, hi Steve, hi Mike, hi Mark. Hi, Dr. Jacobson and Mr. Wonderful. How are you doing? I don't even know his name, but we have Mr. Wonderful, Dwayne Hill is known by Miss Christina as Mr. Wonderful, and she is known as Miss Wonderful. And the exuberant way in which they greet each other each week when he comes in is wonderful to see. And I really appreciate the warm welcome that our office extends to each of you and other visitors as they come in. But yeah, I clearly remember the first time Mr. Wonderful came in, and that's what we all call him. Is this your wife? So thank you, Mr. Wonderful, and all of you. So I have a huge list in front of me that is on the agenda each time the School and Education Committee meets. And I'll just go through that briefly and give you some updates and some of the impact of those activities at our school. One of the things is student success. So probably the first month I was at Franklin last year, Dr. Jacobson came in and introduced himself to me, and we had met briefly before. He had come to Ensign on behalf of the Rotary Club, delivering dictionaries to third grade when I was there. So I reminded him of that meeting that we had, and he remembered that. But we started talking about the student success and how we could look at how the tutoring impacts our students. And I know anecdotally ways that it impacts our students, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but apparently the Rotary Club in general and members of the Education Committee had thought that names had been being collected and data collected in an ongoing fashion for years. And we learned that that wasn't the case, but we had some, and we started putting that together. So moving forward, from this year forward, we will have an ongoing database that tracks students and their academic progress through their graduation from the Salt Lake City High School. The first group that we have names for and data for are currently 9th graders, I believe. So we have 4 years of data for them, and we will have that moving forward. As long as they stay in a Salt Lake City school, we'll be able to track that. Look at graduation rates, attendance rates, standardized test scores, and things like that. And so that is one of the things that the Education Committee does and the Rotary provides for our school. Another thing I briefly mentioned, the dictionary project in my association with Dr. Jacobson from another school at that. So the dictionary project is something the Rotary Club does in many schools throughout the Valley. And they come in, you guys come into third grade classrooms and deliver a short talk and talk about the importance of education and the importance of books and reading and knowledge, and then distribute to each third grader a dictionary. So I went around the school and some classes that weren't testing and did just a straw poll. I wanted to see, first of all, how many students were in third grade at Franklin. So I was talking to current third, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. Asked them how many of them remembered the dictionary presentation, and there were probably 80%, 80 to 90% of the students that remembered that. Of course, the third graders, 100% of the kids remembered that. And then I asked how many of them still had the dictionary. And school-wide in those 4 grades, it ranges, it's roughly 60% of the kids still have that dictionary and still use it. One fifth grader opened his backpack and pulled it out. He said, I still carry it with me every day. I said, do you carry it with you every day, or have you not cleaned your backpack since then? I said I'd call his mom and check. But the kids still have those. They appreciate those. And that was a question I was asked by the Education Committee to wonder about the impact of that expense that the club takes on and how that impacts students when they're in the third grade. So I think we have just some rough data on that, but I think the students do remember that and they do appreciate that. Your club also provides dollars for special projects at our school. We have many different needs, and those special project dollars have provided things like basic furniture for families, tires for a family's car who was having trouble with their transportation and couldn't get to their kids to school or the parents to work or just to the grocery store and things like that. It also has provided, our counselor this year has requested some dollars for a program that she uses to talk about getting along with each other and providing social skills for our students. So those are some things that those special projects fund. We had a really great career fair provided by the Rotary this year, and several of your members came and spoke about their careers, talked to the students in 5th and 6th grade about career opportunities and things that students could look forward to working in many different industries. I'm not sure if the police officer is a member of the club, but someone arranged for a police officer to come. Mike was there talking about the trucking industry and had a truck there that the kids could see and tour. Kent was there talking about the airline industry and being a pilot. And it was just a great day. There was an architect there. And it was a great day for the students and something they'll remember. We have 6th grade promotions. So coming up 2 weeks from Friday, these 6th graders will be being honored at our school. It's a promotion assembly because they are leaving our school and moving on to middle school, and that's a big transition in their lives. They've been, many of them, in the same place for 7 years. They've all been in that elementary school environment for 7 years, one teacher usually all day long for the entire year. And moving on to 7th grade is a big change, and we want to honor that. And the Rotary Club helps us with that. Many of the tutors actually will show up and be there to encourage their student that they've been working with and help us honor them. But they also, you also provide for us a speaker that comes to that. This year, the speaker will be Angela Romero. In the past, we've had Senator Luz Robles and Judge Andy Valdez. And that's always been arranged by the Rotary Club and the Education Committee or someone on that committee. We've talked a great deal about the tutoring program. That is probably the biggest thing that the club does, especially in terms of manpower. As Avery mentioned, there are 21 tutors this year. We had 22 students. We would love to expand that and have that expanded. We've talked in the Education Committee about expanding it to 5th grade and moving on to 6th grade and building that relationship over a longer term. I did a rough calculation. The tutors come usually for half an hour a week. We have typically 36 weeks in our school year. They don't come the last 2 or 3 and don't come the first couple, so about 30 weeks. We're looking at somewhere around 15 to 20 hours of time during the course of the school year. And that has a great impact on our students, as some of them shared with you today. We have junior achievement, and I know Phil is from the junior achievement office, but Howard Van Borum organized 11 volunteers this year through the Rotary Club, and we have 11 classrooms participating in junior achievement. Many of the same people that are coming in and doing that are also tutors, so they come in a couple times during this. It's most of the junior achievement's going on right now, and it is roughly 5 weeks, 5 lessons, and over the course of could be 1 week or 5 weeks, depending on the schedule that's arranged between the volunteer and the teacher. But that is a great program that the students loved. I went into a classroom last week, and they were had a big map on the floor, and were moving model cars around it and showing the kids how to get around their neighborhood. And this was in a 1st grade classroom. So some very exciting stuff. The Rotary Club in the fall takes our students, our 6th grade students, to the aviary at Liberty Park. And many of you volunteer and spend the day, part of the day with our students there. And that's a great experience for our students and for the people who accompany them, the adults. Our library enhancement program. Each week, a book is brought in and signed by the speaker. I signed it today. And those books are donated to our library. And library books are expensive. We can't go buy the 99-cent Scholastic books because they get read once and the cover's falling off and things like that. So Library-bound books are quite expensive, and our library budget is not very big. So that's a very nice gesture and a very nice way for us to keep books in our library. And you provide, I'm guessing 30 of those a year or so, one for each of your meetings, I believe. So, and that's a very, very welcome addition to our school, and our librarian appreciates that. Scouting, we have a scouting program provided by Rick Barnes, chairs that. And in our after-school program, once a week, a scout leader comes in and does scouting activities with our students that are interested in that. It's just another way of bringing the community into the school. That's a very, very big thing in a community like ours, is a lot of community activities that many of us take for granted may not exist in our neighborhood, or they're not accessible for our students. So we bring the community into our school and bring those opportunities for our kids into our school. And we really appreciate the scouting coming in. Student lunch at Rotary, well, that's today. You can see the impact of that. We have students dressed up. We have students, sitting in an environment that they may not be used to. I rode on the bus with them. I don't ride on the bus very often since I've been principal with students. I'd rather drive myself, but I rode on the bus today. And I've never heard 21 students so quiet on a school bus heading to a field trip or an activity. I think part of that was that sort of unknown, and knowing they were going to a hotel where things were going to be kind of fancy. I was asked if the napkins were throwaway, and told them no, they're not. And I'm sure once they started using them, they figured that out. But this is a wonderful environment and a wonderful opportunity for our students. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. Just a couple more things. This list is pretty long. The Rotary Club has been a wonderful partner for us and does a lot of things. Each year, you provide a Sub for Santa opportunity for families at our school. I believe it's somewhere around 10 to 12 families have Christmas provided for them by the generosity of the Rotarians. And that is very wonderful. It's a very needed and wonderful thing that you do for our community, and we appreciate that greatly. After the holidays are over, Jim Schwing, who's in charge of that, comes to me, and there's usually some leftover donations that didn't get used for that, and that gets donated to the school. In the last 2 years since I've been there, I don't know, you may have heard Salt Lake City had an issue with school lunches last year, a year or so ago. And that was an unfortunate thing, but what it did was change some of the policies in our school district to make sure that something like that never happened again. So one of the things that schools have is when students have outstanding balances at the end of the year, the school has to find funds to pay for that. Child nutrition runs independent of the school district. And so when there's outstanding monetary balances, on June 5th, the lunch lady brings me a final accounting, and I have to find funding to pay for those lunches. We don't have many, and our lunch balances right now are only around $12. But in January, when that money, that leftover money from Sub for Santa comes to me, we have about a $300 or $400 balance, and that's because of paperwork crossing that the balance doesn't go away once the paperwork for free or reduced lunch gets approved. So students eat every day, but if they're accruing a balance, that doesn't go away. And so we've been able to use that money to wipe out our balance each year so that our students are eating and their lunches are being paid for. So that's an additional benefit that we get from that Sub for Santa, and I appreciate that extra money that when it's left over that Jim brings to me. Zoo Day, that's still coming up. I don't know, you'd need to talk to Brett Lang to find out for sure, but that all of our 6th graders will board buses and and meet volunteers from the Rotary Club at the zoo for a day of fun, and that's on May 29th. In the last email I saw, they were still looking for volunteers. So if you want to spend the day with some exuberant sixth graders walking around the zoo, 28th, sorry, it's on Thursday, the 28th. So 2 weeks from Thursday. Thank you for that, Avery. That's a great opportunity for you to spend a few hours with our students. So I talked briefly about the student success and the data. Anecdotally, I am a strong believer that the biggest thing the tutoring program does for our students is it gives them someone in the community that they can look at and say, I want to be like him, or I can do something like him. And it brings a perspective that they don't always see at our school or within our community. So it's bringing people, again, from the community at large, from the Salt Lake community at large, into our small little section over in the Glendale area, and bringing in some hope and some promise and some ideas to these kids of what their future could be like. And that's why I would like the tutoring program to expand into multiple years to help create that bond and that friendship. And it truly is a friendship. I mean, when you see the tutors with their kids, you can see it today with the kids that they tutor, and to hear the way that the kids talk about their tutors. It is a great friendship that's built over that 15 to 20 hours. And I just would love to see that expanded into 2 years at our school and 3 or 4 years moving on past the middle school with that same adult and that same student working together for 20 hours each year over the course of 4 years. And who knows what that can do in the lives of our students. Thank you. I didn't think I was going to make it to the end. How about that? One of the things that I've seen, and I'm not sure, I think there are some Rotary people involved in this, but I'm not sure if there's involvement. There's a retired teacher from Franklin. Her name is Edna Elringer, and I've only had the opportunity to meet her. I've never worked with her. And in 2009, she started a scholarship foundation for students that went to Franklin who are graduating from high school, who are pursuing college or something after high school, some kind of career training. And last year, I met 4 students who were former Franklin students who were graduating from high school and going on to different post-high school training and graduations. The first year she had that scholarship, it was pretty much given to whoever applied. This year, they are sorting through 14 applications from students who attended Franklin as 6th graders, so roughly 70, 75 of them. 14 of them that took the time to apply for this scholarship have post-high school plans for their education. And that says something about the relationships that are created at our school through Rotary, through teachers, through any of the outside communities, and the push that our students are getting and the belief they have in themselves for attending school beyond high school. And you can't put a number or a price on that. I think that speaks volumes more than any data that we can collect for the 20 hours that the volunteers spend. And I would just encourage all of you to take the time, and if you have the time available, I know you have many committees and many things going on through part of the club, plus you all work and have careers and things like that. But if you have the time, hour a week for travel time and a half an hour at our school, I would highly encourage you to come and visit us at Franklin. I think you will be richly rewarded for your time there. I know there was an article that popped up today from Fortune magazine that said the #1 happiest career in the country is being a school principal. And most days it is. Today is one of those days when I'm faced with paperwork and reports and answering questions I don't really want to answer, then maybe different. but I would never replace any of that with the time I get to spend with the teachers and the students at our school and the volunteers, and I think you would feel the same way. And again, thank you very much for allowing us to be here today.
Well, I think we can see why there's success going on at Franklin Elementary School. Starts with the leadership, and Randy and his staff are fabulous. So again, our thanks to Randy and to Avery and others at Franklin Elementary School. Next week, we'll be at the Marriott. Our own International Service Committee will be reporting. The auction that Vicki talked about will take place. She mentioned a vacation in Morocco. Some of you may not be aware, I just returned on Saturday from, it was actually a 3-week, I was in Europe, but the last week was in Morocco as a guest of our own club member, Mohammed Sabaya. I visited with the Marrakesh Menara Rotary Club. I met the therapists that are involved in our club's global grant training, neurorehabilitation training. What an inspiring week we had. What an amazing place. A week in Morocco, especially if Mo will be the host, because he was a gracious host for us. I recommend it highly. We stand adjourned.